Okay, folks, so today I'm going to talk about a course called Meadowood Golf Course, which is a quote unquote executive 9-hole course, and it is located in, where is this thing? In Burlington, Kentucky. It is actually not far from Hebron, not far from Cincinnati. It's just south of Cincinnati on Route 18, going west off 71/75, which is very close to the Cincinnati, Ohio bridge on 71/75. And the reason I chose it is because of two things. One, it's because it's behind a driving range that I have gone to a couple of times there, which is a pretty good driving range. And if you'll forgive me for a minute, I'll look up the name of it. Range in Florence, KY. So it's called the Stevens Golf Center. Stevens Golf Center, and that is off of 18, just east of Burlington and just north of Boone Links, which I reviewed earlier. So the thing is that there's a road that the Stevens Golf Center is on, and this course, Meadowood, is across the road. You see the, I guess it's the fifth or sixth hole from the road, and it looked kind of inviting. And I wanted to take a step before I went out and played some more quote unquote big hard courses after taking a couple rounds on the driving range and try out some ideas that I picked up from the driving range. So the main thing that I picked up from my last outing on the driving range was that I can hit two balls off the tee with my driver, and one of them is low. I would say about 6 to 10 feet off the ground at most, and the other one is high, which is more like a tree clearing shot. It's about a 35 to 40 degree angle upwards, and the two shots I can hit fairly consistently, but one of them is slightly more consistent than the other, which is a low ball. And what I noticed is that I was hitting the low shot about 235 to 250 carry with a roll out to 285 on the range fairly consistently. When I hit it, if I didn't pull it left, that's what I did. And the higher shot, I was getting a decent shot about 65% of the time, 70% of the time. So one of the problems was not getting a clean hit, hitting off center, occasionally cutting the ball to the right or pushing it right, occasionally hitting it off the heel. It was much harder to hit a higher loft shot with my driver. It was less consistent, and even when I did hit it consistently, I was only getting about a 235 carry, and then I get maybe 10 yards at most, because the ball would come down really high, come down really steep, and just like plop, or even bury itself in the turf. So it's very hard to get any kind of decent rolls with that kind of a shot. So while it still had utility, certainly if you're hitting to a step fairway, or you're hitting over trees or something where it would be really tough to get a low shot through the trees from the back tees, it can be very tough to do that from the back tees, because all you have to do is be off a little bit on your line of the shot, and you're going to hit right into the trees, on the left. You pull it to the left, where it's much easier to hit over the trees in a lot of cases like that. But the problem is, if you go high, you go up over the trees, you don't get much range down range. You're lucky to get 250, whereas with my other swing, not only can I get a much more consistent hit low, I can also get more distance that way. So there are times when you want to go high, and there are times when you want to go low. And what I wanted to do was try this idea on a real course before I went out and drove 3 hours to play a slope 140 course. So what I ended up doing was playing this course. It was a 9-hole course with a cart, was $30. So this wasn't cheap for a 5,000 yard course. combining the two nines, it's 2,500 per side times two. But it was still a good course to play because it had the kind of low lane trees, like on the first through four holes, I would say, where you're basically just trying to hit the ball straight down a chute that's maybe 50 yards wide, and trying to get a good roll and then go up to the green at the end. And it was a fairly straightforward course until I got to maybe the fourth hole, which is a good challenging hole for the fact that the right side of the fairway slopes down into a line of houses. And actually, this isn't even bad on this hole. It slopes down into a row of houses, but the houses are a good 75 yards away from the fairway. So you really have to punish the ball to get it out into that row of houses. But they're still there, and it still plays in your mind, and it's something that you have to deal with when you're on the tee. I found that one of the big problems hitting off the tee is not so much that the shot is difficult, but just that it makes you nervous. And when people get nervous and they do things that are already challenging, they tend to overcompensate maybe, or over lose focus perhaps, or try too hard. And sure enough, what I ended up doing on this tee shot was pulling the ball left into the line of trees on the left side of the fairway. I had to play back out to the right and then chip up to the green. And on this hole, the green was from where I chipped, I was on the right side, and the green was very invisible from down there. I ended up having to play two shots up and chip on. And then while it was a little tiny green on top of that flat green, you barely see the flag even when you're standing 50 yards in front of the green. It was good practice, and it brought up another issue which I think looms large in the game of golf, and that is just greenside play. Short game, chipping and putting, pitching and chipping and putting was not easy. The course might have been a slope 115 course, but you still have the same problems with chipping and pitching and putting. So regardless of the difficulty of the course, I think that is always an issue, and certainly playing through the rest of the course. The par 3 after that, which was pretty straightforward, but you still had the green. It was shadowed by a tree on the left. The par 4, that was the next hole, which was over a creek, and pulled hard left at the fence and went to a green that was just to the left between the line of trees and the fence. So it was actually hidden by the trees on the left side. The next two holes were also a decent challenge, going back across that creek, going back to a green, down along the row of houses, coming back to the short par 3 on the right, and then taking the 8th hole, which is a long par 4, up over a hill, coming up to the fairway, and then playing down across a pond on the right side to the green, tucked away on the right side next to a house, and actually a parking lot right over there. So that wasn't actually easy at all. It was actually a pretty good challenge. Then the 9th hole was even better. The 9th hole was kind of like your worst case scenario, where you have a line of condos right there off the tee, going down the right-hand side. The tee box is there between two sets of trees, one right and one left. And the challenge was really not just to not hit the houses on the right, the condos on the right, but also not pull the tee shot from the back tees into the trees that were bordering the white tees, which of course I did. I hit it right through the trees on the left again and got a lucky roll down to the pond that's in front of the green, down on the cart path, and it trickled in from the cart path into the pond. So I dropped back there just on the far side of the lake and hit an iron up to the green. That was a good challenging hole. I mean, that was a decent hole. There was no doubt that that last hole was quite a decent hole for a course that charged only $10 to walk it. Pretty flat, pretty straightforward course, not very long, but certainly a good, good outing of golf. There's no doubt about it. There was nothing wrong per se with that course in terms of playing. And it does go to show that if you have a decent course, even if it's short, it doesn't have to be very long. I mean, it might be 2,000 yards shorter than a 7,000 yard course, but that doesn't mean it's going to be easy. And it's one of the benefits of playing short courses is to get out and get in a quick round that doesn't require a lot of driving, a lot of money, Go out there and hit, work on your short game, work on playing difficult shots off the tee, and enjoy yourself and have a good round. And that's what I ended up doing at Meadowood Golf Course in Florence, Kentucky. And I can definitely say this course is not bad. It's not a great course, but I'm going to give it something like a B minus. And that was actually not bad for 9 holes at all. Not at all.